Meet Robin Panicker, founder and CEO of SEQATO Software Solutions. With 20 plus years of experience, he helps healthcare, fintech and telecom leaders build AI-powered, enterprise-grade solutions. Welcome to Techzilla, sharing his journey and digital insights.
So back in 2002, you are just and started as a Java developer all the way. And after 23 years, you are a full-time entrepreneur.
Right.
Okay. And last 10 years, full-time.
Right.
Okay. And the transition from pure techies to entrepreneurs is a very fairly difficult one because your skills completely lost. The skills you gained for last 15 years is completely lost. And all of a sudden, you start seeing the problems you never heard about it. Okay. So we would like to know your transition from early career, from pure Java developer, from senior architect, then the switch between the founder.
Okay. So like you rightfully said, it was very challenging for me because I was a core technical person. So back in my youth also, like, while I was in 9th standard, my dad had got me a computer in those days. So I had learned QBasic, Fox Pro, all the old languages.
Billing system, Fox Pro.
Correct, yeah. So I was very interested in, and like it was kind of my passion. So that is one reason why I had joined computer science in my engineering. And then, initially also when I started work with Infosys, so it was very exciting for me. So I had a very challenging time when I had to switch over from technology to entrepreneurship. Initially in the first 3-4 years, I was doing hands-on coding also along with the team. But then I realized that as an entrepreneur, there are many more things that you need to do. You just can't sit there and do the coding because somebody has to run the company. And if not the founder, then who? So that was one reason why I had to slowly, transition away from the developer role to a, more managerial kind of role. And like you rightfully mentioned, it was very challenging. Stop doing something that you love to do. It's not easy.
So I think the earlier phase you moved from, because you said Fox Pro was the first language, very easy to program.
Yes.
Very easy to, because if you like if-else, you get simple.
Very straightforward logic they had.
But Java is not the same.
Correct.
It's different. It's more structured. And you need to have a very strict concept, like a object-oriented concept.
Right.
Was that your interest or you just have to learn? So how it actually happened?
That was basically my interest. So, I didn't have to learn. It was, I went with the flow. So we had this, in our colleges also, we had this basics taught to us. So it was easy for us to understand the language. And at that time, we didn't have too much of Google or ChatGPT as we have now.
Yes.
So it was just books. So we had Java in 21 days. So we used to, take it from the library and then just play around with it and then do hands-on exercise again and again and again. And that's how I became a core techie person.
So during that time, have you built any tool for someone else?
For someone else in the sense we had done.
Do you have any customer that time?
Not
Out of passion, you built something outside your curriculum?
No, at that time, because there was no opportunity for that at that time. So even if you do something, how will you sell it? So we had that challenge over that time.
Yeah, because the reason why I'm asking, because when I started my career, I was actually very fond of C++. So then switched to VC++, where we can create the UI
and all.
So we are into deep because we are reading only book. And finally, we have to try out. We are trying to build something. Then all of a sudden, we realized that time it was much popular, that the video rental shops.
Yeah.
Then I spoke to that guy. He was facing the nightmare of finding something because of thousands of CDs and not able to find it. So I proposed to him, we will build a library based on VC+. You can straight away search it and finally put a number on top of the CD and you can figure it out. So that was the first tool I built. I'm asking whether you have built anything like that.
Nothing similar, because at that time we didn't have an opportunity like that. Maybe I didn't have that sales kind of background, so I didn't showcase my skills to anybody. So So maybe that might be the reason.
Okay. So at the work, so how was your later engagement? You're just focused on work, or you're just building your passion in side by side, learning new technology?
So it was both combined together. So you get to do work that you love to do. So it was interesting and it was easy for me to learn what I love to do. So what I did was, first of all, I understood all the concepts of the language, and then I dug into the details so that I can be strong in that. So people say that you have to be vertically strong in one particular technology, and then you should be horizontally strong in the other technologies. So that is what I did in the initial period of my career. So I became a very good expert in Java. So any kind of application, I was involved in the initial design and architectural phases. That made me, feel proud of myself that I was doing
How
something
far
good.
you went in Java? You were actually into the Java virtual machines, or is it like
So
even beyond that memory
we had to
allocation?
do performance, tuning, etc. in those days.
The biggest nightmare for developer at that time is the memory volume was very less.
Correct.
So you have to deal with the crashes.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, and I think in those days it was very difficult because we didn't have so many tools and so many help materials, etc. So we used to do a trial and run and repeatedly, try it out and check it out. So that's how I learned the mastery of the language.
Okay, you have to really understand the architecture behind the compiler, and then you understood. Okay.
And the biggest challenge was there's nobody to guide you. There's only a set of books that you have, or maybe some online material, which might be difficult to get also. So what you have to go through it again and again. There were seniors, but then they were not so much of a helpful kind. So it's all up to you. You have to learn on your own.
Yeah, basically, especially when you are fixing something and production issue.
Right.
You are around.
Yes, that's correct. And one challenging thing, I would say interesting thing is that, in those days when we had a problem, we would sit there and then solve the problem. It's not like that we would get, our focus will not go because you didn't have mobiles those days. And there's nothing to distract you, right?
Yes.
So here now you have thousands of things to think about. So there you have to just solve the problem. That was your only goal. So we used to sit, maybe, there were days when you spend nights on a problem or on fixing some issues or bugs and all. But then at the end of the day, or at the end of the, fixing the solution, you would feel really good because you achieved something.
And also during that time, especially when you are working on enterprise solutions, the volume of code is huge.
Right.
Because you cannot get into every piece of it. There is a lot of dependency.
Correct.
So, I mean, almost 80-90% of your time left on debugging only to figure out the control flow.
Correct.
Then the last 5% is you are spending for the fix.
Correct. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
During that time, you don't talk to anyone.
Yeah.
You just write it down in notes.
Yeah, correct.
And most importantly, you have to create the data point that touch all these use cases. So data point is your gold mine.
Yeah. And I think in those days, we didn't have a front-end developer, back-end developer, database engineer, tester. Everything has to be done by the person who is doing the coding, So we didn't even have a separate testing team. So developers used to test the code. So we were like proficient in all those technologies. And at those days, it was not so complex as it is now. But still, we used to know, okay, what's the database? How do you connect with the database? How do you integrate with the front end? So people used to have a good control over the software at that time.
Sometimes error causes because of the bad data.
Right.
You have to go and see in database what is really there. Because, for example, an unseen character left into the database is causing your validation a failure.
Yes. So you need to test it out yourself,
Okay. And then coming back to the architecture side. Okay, all the time you focus only on Java. It's purely on technical.
Right.
But coming to architecture is more generic.
Yes.
Okay, you have to expand your landscape, getting into different, like for example, front end, back end, middleware, database technology, cloud technology. There's a lot of things involved. So how do you get your hands on all these things, moving away from Java, or just still living with that?
No, one good thing about Infosys, where I started my career, was that they had a very good learning and management portal. So they had this material, for architects, for leads, for senior developers. So they used to have a lot of certifications also. So you need to pass the certification. You need to, go through the training and pass the certification to go to the next level. So that was something that helped me a lot initially because, as I said, that for designing a solution, you have to keep apart the coding part. So you have to think about about the logic and how about the modules and how are they going to communicate with each other. So at a higher level, you need to have a bird's eye view. So these training material indeed helped, and then we used to learn what others are doing, what the seniors are doing, and then we used to try to replicate something like that.
You must be having some mentors in the AC
Yeah,
section.
we had some mentors. It was not official mentors because nobody used to, give that title at that time. But still, you had some friendly seniors who would spend some time, just helping or telling what is happening.
Okay. So moving from technology to the architecture, the biggest challenge was the decision making.
Yes.
What one to choose, where to put the boundaries.
Correct.
So how did you learn that part?
Yeah, so this again is based on experience as well as past experience as well as looking at the seniors. So one thing that I used to do, and I think most of the developers used to do, was learn by looking at others' code.
Okay.
So it's not just the code that you write, but it's also the code that other people have written. Especially there was a lot of open source, frameworks available with the source code. So we used to spend some time on analyzing how this bit of code is written. And there were forums and blogs also at that time, which we used to go through and then understand, okay, how a particular architecture is created, what goes behind a decision, so why you choose a particular language. So all those kind of things, a lot of information we used to gather and then come to this decision. And I think at this time we had senior architects also who would review this whatever solution we are proposing. There were healthy debates. They will say that, okay, this is better than this. So those kind of discussions also helped in us understanding what should go.
Okay. So during that time, the decision making, are you aware of the cost factor?
No, not really. Because at that time we were not involved in the budgeting, etc. of a project. So, and I think in Infosys, so we had a separate team to handle that. So we were just given guidelines saying that, okay, this is something that has to be done in 6 months or maybe 1 year. Okay. And then we had to propose, okay, this can be done by, let's say, 5 developers or let's say 10 developers. So that was the only this thing we had. So I'm assuming that they were getting a very good billing rate. So, cost was not a factor for them. But
yeah, sometimes the technology usage can cause delays in delivery.
Yes, a wrong decision can definitely cause a delay over there. Yeah.
Right. So sometimes the technology is, because let's say that the project delivery is on a short period, you cannot have a very complex technology. For example, if they're choosing the back-end technology, let's say that Java or Python, so how fast you can write. So these are the decisions is going to affect that.
I think the reviews that were happening at those days, so that played a very important role in making sure that all these factors were accounted for.
Okay. So and most important question, when after you build a solution and this finally went to the production, so have you ever evaluated or collected the feedback of architecture you built?
Oh yes, we had to do that, because I think even before it goes to production, so there's a review session that used to happen. So the architect or the seniors who were there in the project, so they will do a very, very detailed analysis. And post-production also, we'll be gathering the performance metrics and see how the application is performing. And based on that, we used to get good feedback from the same.
Okay, so during that time, do you had any incident where you think things went wrong, then we corrected it later?
Yes, many times those things happen, right? Because sometimes things may not go as we think it will. Mostly it would be performance issues only, because we might be thinking that 1,000 users might be concurrently using the application, but 10,000 happens. So there's a peak load time and all. So these things we learn and then we use that in our next projects also. So there were a couple of incidents where performance had gone for a toss, and then but immediately we were able to take action because we were able to identify what was the root cause of the problem, and then we would bring down the application and then take it up again. To be very frank, I'm bad at people management because I'm not very comfortable being a people manager. Still, what I do is I try to understand what a person is lacking in, and then I try to train them or mentor them in that particular area if that is under my capacity. You don't need to be 100% perfect in service projects. So you need to do the functionality correctly, and a little bit of relaxation can be done because.
And unlike the traditional on-premises application, the cloud infrastructure is different because there is also a cost factor involved.
Yeah.
And how did you learn that part? Because you have to be very cautious about that part.
Correct. Yeah. I think in those days, like in the initial days of my career, it was like the customers, because they were all big MNCs, so they had their own, own infrastructure. So we used to deploy it on their premises only. It may not be their premises, but it might be their own infrastructure. So the cost was not a problem at that time, but later point of time when the cloud came into the picture, at that time we were told, okay, so these resources are expensive, so you need to use them judicially. And that's the time when we started fine tuning the infrastructure as well. So whatever we wrote, so it should be auto scaled. So all those kind of things we learned over the time, and then we put that into practice.
Okay, this cost factor might have affected your architecture decision as well, because certain things, for example, when you could do certain things in memory rather than going in the networking.
Correct. Yeah, so this again, it was mostly by trial and error only. So when we learn as new things, so we realize, okay, a memory operation is much more faster. At the same time, it's more expensive also. So if you're going to have more memory intensive applications, then you might need a better server. So that might increase the cost. But at the same time, if the use case is such that you don't need such a fast operation, then you can use it. You can download it to a database or a file or something, and then read it from there. So that can that design will be affected by like.
Okay, so have you been any part of any community, development community?
I think at those days we had some open, I don't recollect it right now, but then we had the SourceForge and all. So they
SourceForge, yes, SourceForge.
So they had this open source projects, and also we used to contribute in our free times a couple of projects, simply just for the sake of passion.
The code project.
Yeah, code project was there, right? Yeah. I think there were a couple of things over there at that time which were really interesting. I think we used to learn the projects looking at the other code that people had written there.
Okay, all right, okay. And coming back to the cloud architecture, then we are also doing the multi-cloud, hybrid cloud applications, right? So is it all happened on the enterprise level? Have you tried to tear down to smaller applications?
No, this all happened in the enterprise level, because at Infosys, you were treated like that. So you used to work on like Kmart, Sears, and all big projects.
Okay, all right.
So in those days, I couldn't get a hands-on on the smaller applications. When I joined Cubers later, like towards the end of my career, not the career, but towards the end of my job career. So at that time, I was given an opportunity to try it out on smaller and medium businesses as well.
Okay, and coming back to your mentorship, so you must be grooming or mentoring the team members. So I'm just curious that where you learn that people management skills.
Okay, to be very frank, I'm bad at people management because I'm not very comfortable being a people manager, because the biggest challenge that I feel is all the people have different character, have different personality. So you cannot treat them the same way. So if you're soft with one person, you need to be hard with another person. And that is a little bit challenging for me, because I am a little bit of an introvert. So talking to people, it might take some time, so we might not have the luxury of that time while interacting with people in your team. So, but still what I do is I try to understand what a person is lacking in, and then I try to train them or mentor them in that particular area, if that is under my capacity.
Okay. So, and especially when you have started a new organization and as a founder, so this might be the hardest part.
Definitely, yes. Yeah, because till then I used to do my work very efficiently, but now the point came where I had to take responsibility of the work that my team also does, because I am answerable to the customer. So I am the direct face of the customer, right? So whatever the team, even if the team makes a mistake, then I have to take ownership of that. So I can sit and change the code, but that's not a scalable approach.
Yes.
So I had to make sure that the team is mentored properly and they do it correctly.
Empowering your team.
Empowered correctly, yeah.
Okay.
So initially, I faced a lot of challenges where I might lose my temper also sometimes. So that took a very bad impression, because people will think that they call me RP. Yeah, they call me RP. So RP is angry. RP has got a very anger mood. So don't go near him and all. So, but that was my passion for perfectionism. So I want 100% professional in all the work that the team does. So that was a problem that I identified. Then I realized that you don't need to be 100% perfect in service projects. So you need to do the functionality correctly, and a little bit of relaxation can be done, because the customer is also expecting the applications to be done quickly so that they can make revenue out of the business.
Okay. So, that relaxation, because being from so perfectionist to the relaxation,
Right.
you might have unlearn a lot of things.
Yes. Yeah. So again, it was like a, what you call obsession for me to be a perfectionist. But then unlearning that was really challenging. And initially I would get really frustrated. Why am I allowing this? But then I slowly realized that this is the the norm in the industry. So if you spend that extra days or hours trying to make things perfect, you might lose on a lot, and then you might not even it might not even be worth it.
Yes.
So then I realized that okay, I have to accept this fact.
And it's also important that we set up a process. The people also in our team follow the same pattern, so that they don't waste on things they don't need to, and take the decisions, because most of the time people hesitate to take risk because they want to make it. That's the reason behind it being a lot of perfection.
Correct. Yeah.
So if you have given that space for taking risk, that's why you said relaxation.
Yeah. That risk factor is a very important thing. In some cases, the risk is so high that you cannot take a chance there. So in those cases also, we have, like you said, we have put a system in place so that the developers or the leads also know that, okay, so what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. So I make sure that performance is never compromised. So there might be some aesthetics which might be, which can be compromised if the customer is not expecting that, because sometimes what happens is that some customers might be very much conscious about the aesthetics. So they want pixel perfect screens, but then they are okay with little bit of functionality, labs also. So in those cases, we have to take a very judgmental decision, what is expected and what we need to provide to the customer. So we taught that that strategy to our leads also, so that they can also make a decision, and if there's any confusion, they can come back and discuss with us.
Okay. Yeah. And this this life cycle is keep on going on this thing. Okay. Right.
Just saying that we do everything is not a very good approach, So you need to be focused. So we need to ensure that our team is also focused and they try to scale up to that level, because if you don't scale, then it's very difficult to survive in this industry. So we give them multiple chances, and then we say that, okay, it's for your own benefit, we are doing this. A totally different game there.
Yeah.
So whatever works in orbit 1 will not work in the second orbit. So we have to put a system in place